Hello.
Hello, welcome back to Let's Build with
Ellen.
and Dustin. So Ellen, we just got done talking about firm price.
Yep.
We've talked about the your way of the three-step building process.
Yep.
So where are we going now? We got one more step to do, right?
Yeah.
So what are we talking about?
Talking about being on time.
So this week's podcast, we're going to talk about on time and what that looks like for Wausau and how we get there.
Yep.
There's 5 touch points underneath on time.
Yep.
Technically, I would say only 4 of them apply to
that
side of it. But
yeah.
So I think in the beginning we talked about why the 3-step building process with Wausau is so important.
Yep.
You want to reiterate it again?
Yeah, so the 3-step building process kind of touches on the 3 biggest complaints in new construction. It's never exactly what I wanted. It's $5,000 more than
$20,000
or $20,000. So $5,000 you can sometimes work with, but it's $20,000 more than they said it was going to be, and I'm moving in 6 months later.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about, you with Wausau, you're really going to get exactly what you want. We just finished up talking about, you're going to know exactly to the penny what it's going to cost you before you ever sign a contract. And now today we're going to talk just about how important it is to Wausau and how important it should be to any builder to get you moved in when they say you're going to.
Absolutely. And we're going to not hopefully touch on all these. We could obviously touch on all of them and be a little bit longer of a podcast, but I think with any builder, the on-time side of it, we have 4 really emotional touch points.
Yes.
In this block.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest, I think we were talking with some clients earlier about, there's different emotions attached to each of our building.
Yeah.
Each
the
of our
whole
building
process,
steps.
there's a little bit of emotion attached with every single part of the building process, I think. But these touch points really are those emotional touch points, I think. Other than the 3D movie, these are the most emotional ones.
Yeah, them are the most emotional, tied to thing. But if you go back to our beginning process, we sit down with somebody, we talk to them to figure out what they want in a house.
Right.
But then we actually go out and visit a lot.
Right.
We take cones out, we take flags out, we lay out their floor plan. So that way we build emotion so they see how their house is going to fit on their lot.
Yep.
I think that's important because people can be like, oh yeah, that's a 50-foot wide house by 25-foot deep. It's going to fit here. But until they actually see the cones out, we did it personally, on our land just to see how it'd look if we did build a new house. And it just put it in perspective where you can actually see, if it's gone, it's here. And it's I think tying people oh, I like how this is going to look.
Yep. Yeah.
So then, you go into that 3D movie where somebody can actually kind of do a virtual walkthrough of their house. They're seeing how close their cabinets are together, how close the walkways are, and what it's going to look like.
Yep.
So going into the on-time phase, the big thing with on-time is once they sign a contract with Wausau, we are giving them a move-in date, right?
Right.
So given there's a lot of things that can factor in with the move-in date,
yes.
But when we work with our subcontractors, we put them on a strict timeline.
Absolutely.
You need to tell us exactly how much time you need in a house so we can schedule the next person. How much overlap can we have with each contractor?
Right.
Because in all honesty, when we set a house, we're about 90 to 120 build days for when that person's moving in. So with that, we go back to, let's start at the beginning now. Not the beginning of our process, but at the beginning of the on-time phase.
Yeah.
So one of the topics we're going to talk about next week is our next podcast is groundbreaking.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a lot to talk about with it or not, but we'll figure out something. Then set day.
Yeah.
A set day party. What does that look like for Wausau, or what should it look like for any builder?
Yeah.
And we talk about a housewarming party. That's before people even move in.
Absolutely.
We want family members, friends to come see a house before there's boxes everywhere.
Right.
Furniture everywhere. Move-in date, obviously that's important.
Yeah.
Give the keys to your house.
Absolutely.
And then we talk about the anniversary follow-up.
Yeah.
But I think, so how do we tie this into other builders?
Yeah, I think that if you're, not building with a Wausau builder, and whether it's because you're out of, the Wausau area or whatever it may be.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
That I'm thinking?
What?
Before I lose this thought?
Yeah.
If you are building not with a Wausau builder, I think something important that we haven't talked about is have them give you a timeline or write down their important events.
Absolutely.
Because when we talk about they should do this, they should do this.
Yeah.
When you sit down with them first, be like, okay, so what is you guys' process?
Right.
Like if somebody really asked us here at Wausau,
we've got a document.
we can print out a
that's gonna
document
show.
and give them dates. Like this
Yep.
is when we want to complete this by. This is when we want to complete this by for you to move in on this day.
Right.
Have something like that where it's a roadmap.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think what I was going to say, that actually basically is what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
But with this on-time step, I think the biggest thing is if your builder is saying, oh, we'll have you in August, let's just say. Look at them and go, well, are you sure? And also just really hound them because it is possible. Builders are always going to blame subcontractors.
Yeah.
They're always going to push the blame off on somebody else.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a natural human instinct, but I think the biggest thing is just it's possible to give a subcontractor and say, you have 3 days to do this.
Absolutely.
You have a week to, whatever the project may be, however it's going to take. So we're telling you that's possible. And so look at your builder and say, well, tell your subcontractors they only have so long.
Subcontractors have been doing this for how long? They know exactly.
And granted, things happen.
Right.
You know, illnesses, crazy weather, sometimes
COVID, pandemics.
Yeah, pandemics.
But they know that it takes them a week to drywall a complete
Right.
full house.
And that's usually when we say, that's why we don't say necessarily it's 90 days. It's 90 to 120. We have a little bit of a buffer in there.
Yeah.
But that buffer isn't saying, if we tell you you're going to move in August 13th, you're not going to still not be in that house in September. You're not going to be still not in that house by August 25th.
Hopefully not.
It may be August 14th.
Yeah.
Just being completely honest. Some stuff happens.
Right.
And I think as a person who is building a house, you do have to be a little understanding.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying be pushed over by your builder and don't let them say, well, I can't guarantee you a date, because we're telling you that they can.
They should be able to.
They should be able to. They should have their subcontractor agreements lined up. They should have that relationship with their subcontractor to know how long it's going to take.
Yeah. I think it even goes a step. I think you can even take it a step further. And your general contractor, because typically your builder is a general contractor.
Right.
They have crews that they might hire themselves
Right.
to do certain things that they specialize in, but they also have subcontractors for everything. Take it almost a step further and tell your subcontractor, each week I want an update
Absolutely.
of who's in the
Yeah.
house, what's been done, what's coming up the next week.
Have your builder give you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That way then you know exactly what's happening. Because if you're driving by a house, like, you're not going to have keys to it. You don't have possession of it. You technically can't just go step in on that house
Right.
and check anytime you want.
Right.
Like a general remodel, you can check in and out.
Mm-hmm.
With a building, like, you don't technically, you own the house, but you don't own the house.
It's complicated.
You just don't have possession of it. So you don't
Yeah.
we're not, as builders and as general contractors, we're not just going to give the homeowner a key
Right.
and say, here you go, you can check on your house anytime you want.
Right.
Because we don't know, like, safety-wise, we can't.
Absolutely.
And so, but that is not saying, like, every couple weeks we're not going to take our clients through their house to know what's
Absolutely, yeah.
happening. So, but at the same time, what your point is, they can lay out everything. That comes down to organization. Make
Yeah.
sure you have a general contractor that is organized.
Right.
They're giving you updates. They're letting you know what the process is.
Right.
They're letting you know what the important dates are to hit.
Right.
But again, push them, and we say push in a light term.
Well, but not even really. I think because this is one of the, if you are building a custom home, it's oftentimes is more expensive than buying probably an existing home.
Absolutely,
And
because
this
the
is going to
depreciation of everything.
Yeah, and this is going to be your dream home.
Yeah.
Stand up for yourself. I know that's something that I'm trying to work on just in general.
Right.
And stuff is, this is your money. It's your house. I'm not saying be a jerk at all.
No.
But I'm saying if your builder's telling you, well, I can't give you a timeline of when I need this and when this is going to be done, push the brakes, because that's not, in my opinion, that's not okay.
No. And what I mean, like, by push them or press them is to push them on the front side.
Right.
Why can I not pick out my cabinets before I ever sign a contract?
Right.
So I know the exact price I'm going to pay. I know how much that kitchen's going to cost me. Then there's no question about when they can get ordered, because you can always order stuff ahead of time and say, I want it delivered on
Absolutely.
September 15th, because we're going to install them on September 19th.
Right, absolutely.
So there's no reason why you can't push your builder to do all the planning, designing, picking out of options way ahead of time.
Yeah, and I think the biggest kind of message almost of this podcast is just stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
when it comes to your selections of everything that we've talked about, when you're dealing with a builder that's not a Wausau builder and doesn't follow this process necessarily, there are many builders I know, even locally. Skogman's one that we've had some interaction with and stuff. They have a timeline.
Absolutely.
I've talked with one of their reps, and they could tell you who's going to be in your house, what days, and they're going to tell you, your drywallers have this many days.
Yeah.
They have that system.
Absolutely.
So it's possible for somebody who doesn't do a panelized, they are a classic stick-built process. And so it's possible.
They've done it enough, they know those timelines.
Absolutely. And so if you're working with somebody, every builder's got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so maybe this is also just a learning experience for them of, hey, I know somebody else can do this. You should try and put this system in place. And you may be the guinea pig for that builder in trying to do that. But that's going to improve that builder, and you're going to feel more comfortable recommending other people to go to them.
And that's a big thing. Like when you get done with building a house, or when you're get done working with anybody, you want that word of mouth to be able to say, yes, go work with Ellen and Dustin at Wausau Homes Waverly.
Absolutely.
Or go and work with, like Jenny and Justin at Skogman, or whoever you're working with.
Right.
LGC, Panther, whatever, like whoever's in your local area. Go work with this person because this is how the process went.
Absolutely.
Like with us, they met with me for 2 hours on a Friday afternoon or on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. Then it came around time, they came out to my lot and met me at my house, on my lot, and told me exactly where it was going to look at.
Right.
And then they did this, they did that. You want that positive experience. And that's where it's kind of the emotional touch points. When you walk into Wausau, taking it back just to us, it's not you want that floor plan? Okay, this is how much it costs. See you in 3 weeks when we start picking everything out.
Yeah.
We're building that emotion and that connection with people, trying to figure out exactly what they want, why they want it, how they're going to live in their future dream home.
Right.
So that's the things, like, I guess at the end of the day, to get an on-time aspect of a house, figure out what the builder's timeline is,
right?
How they account for that timeline, or how they document that timeline, what their communication is going to be with you through that timeline.
Correct.
And once again, kind of stand up for yourself, push them a little bit to maybe step outside their boundaries a little bit to do selections 6 weeks ahead of time.
Right.
So with that, I think we've covered a lot of the on-time.
Yeah.
The on-time part of the 3-step building process.
Yeah.
This is the last building block or the last step that we have to cover. Now we have 5 touch points to go over.
Yeah.
And from there, we can start going off on different topics.
Yeah.
It seems like people really enjoy podcasts.
Yeah.
We've had people listen to them and tell us feedback like, I seen your podcast, I learned this from it. So if there is a topic that somebody wants us to cover, whether it's about HVAC, roofing, heating, plumbing, electrical, floor joists, whatever that question is, real estate or home building, feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
We're happy to figure out who to talk to or what we can come up with to talk about it. And
shoot us a message on our Facebook page, Wausau Homes Waverly.
Yeah.
And that's usually the easiest way to get a hold of us.
Usually. I mean, there's ways our emails and stuff are on there. So
so
feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to cover a topic. But I think that covers this week.
Yeah, so join us next week
on Let's Build
with Ellen
and Dustin. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, Let's Build with Ellen and Dustin. This podcast is brought to you by Wausau Homes Waverly. Located in Waverly, Iowa, a panelized custom home builder, building a house your way with a firm price and on time. Be sure to check us out online or on Facebook, Wausau Homes Waverly or wausauhomes.com. And be sure to check out our next podcast on your favorite podcast platform, however you found this podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next podcast.